And good morning, YouTube. It's the old soldier coming at you from Robinson County, North Carolina. It is cold outside this morning. There's a little bit of frost on the ground. And day after tomorrow is Get Fat Day. Yeah, I said the word fat. No, I ain't fat shaming nobody. But tomorrow or day after tomorrow, the majority of us are going to stuff ourselves beyond measure until the point we can barely move or get out of our easy chair and all that other good stuff that goes along with Thanksgiving Day. I can't wait to have some pecan pie, some ham, a whole bunch of other goodies we're going to be affixing at the old soldier's house. I hope everybody else is going to have a big old feast too. But it also brings me to the next point, folks. Talked a little bit about it last night on my live video. One of the poems I read dealt with veteran and soldier suicide. And the reason I wanted to share that one last night is we come into the holiday season. It always seems to put additional stress on service members and even veterans, I guess. Especially active service members who are away from home, away from mom, dad, husband, wife, friends, and familiar surroundings. You add on to that we've been at war for 20 some odd years now, close to 20 years. One of the longest wars we've been involved with. Yeah, I had to switch glasses. It has an effect, folks. Whether you're a young service person or an old one, this time of year is hard on some of them. Compound that fact with PTSD add in, and then I'm not saying these are all the reasons why we're having such a high suicide rate amongst veterans and service members. Just those are some of the reasons. I just wanted to share that with you to make you a little more aware of these things. What can you do? I'll be the first one to tell you I don't know everything that you can do, but if you know of a veteran or a service member that's potentially showing signs of taking their own life, do your best to try and talk to them, with them, and not at them. What I mean by at them, I mean you need to go get help. The VA's got some programs that will help you. You need to go talk to somebody. Sometimes, even though those are well-intentioned words, they come out wrong sometimes. And I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't pretend to know all the medical terms or what have you on it, but I know that sometimes how you deliver a message, or what's the old adage, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But again, if you know of a service person or a veteran that's struggling with issues like that, that you think might possibly be contemplating taking their life, take a moment to just sit and listen to them. The other thing too, and I don't mean to be a downer, but it's just been my experience. People that truly want to commit suicide usually don't tell anybody. Just go and do it. But again, you know, somebody that just you think might be contemplating it, try to talk to them and get them to help. I'm not saying don't just talk to them and do nothing, but try to get them to help. Try to get them to a place where they will be taken care of. But enough on that subject, folks. I just wanted to share that with you for a quick minute. Saw in the news this morning and late yesterday evening where the president acknowledged the military dog that was involved in the operation to get al-Baghdadi. I'm thinking that might be a first that the president's recognized a service animal. I could be wrong on that one, but thought that was pretty cool. But of course now there's all the BS analysis going on about that. It's sickening what the mainstream media will try to make out of nothing, especially given the current president taking opinion and trying to twist it into fact on the impeachment hearings, which again I think is a farce and a witch hunt. That evidence is being made up as they go along because everything else they tried to get on the president, has fallen through the wayside. They can't, they've got nothing, so they're out there fishing. But everybody on the left wants to ignore all the connections between the former vice president and his son, all the trips they took to China and Ukraine and no, we can't talk about that. That's off the table. Why? You're accusing the sitting president of the United States for that type of interference, but yet you do not want to investigate the former vice president nor his son. Mind you, his son's a disgrace. Yeah, I said it. I mean a disgrace to the military uniform. He was a commissioned officer. One who was supposed to set the example for his troops and came up positive on a drug test. Bad enough when any leader does it. And should Hunter Biden been held to a higher standard than any other military officer because he was vice president's son? No. And he was basically, but see, that's the thing, he was probably allowed to resign for the good of the service. Whereas certain service members would have received at a minimum non-judicial punishment before being separated. But that just speaks to the man's character and the fact that, anyway, I don't want to get too much into that, but the fact that they want to ignore all that, but they want to go after the president, it just sickens me, and it's wasting taxpayers' dollars. It's a waste of resources that Congress ought to be applying to the people they were elected to support and represent. Every shred of evidence they presented has amounted to nothing. Witness testimony has basically established that there was no quid pro quo, but yet they keep probing and they keep digging and they keep probing. It's just a witch hunt. Just a witch hunt. And it needs to end so they can get back to what they were elected to do, which is serve the people. Now, it'd be a little bit different story if the president, they literally caught the president with his hand in the cookie jar. Okay. Well, we had, if you go back and you look in history, that's why Nixon resigned. I think Nixon knew that if this all came out, he would have undue implication placed upon him. And he resigned before they could impeach him. And if I'm not mistaken, the Attorney General at the time had the power to still indict Richard Nixon, but I guess chose not to. And of course, Gerald Ford, once sworn in, pardoned him. Not like anybody didn't see that one coming, I guess. But it's time for Congress to get back to work for the people and drop this whole mess and move on. Even though I got a feeling they're not going to. And I got a gut feeling that come on the 2020 elections when they... And I'm pretty sure President Trump is going to be reelected. Everything I've been analyzing and looking at, and just the patterns are there that I'm pretty sure he's going to get reelected. He'll get his 8 years, and that's fine. But I'm just afraid he's going to meet twice as much opposition in 2020 than what he did in 2016. That's a gut feeling. I got nothing to back that up on, folks. Just given what happened in 2016 when he won the election, and given the vile rhetoric that has been spouted since then. And despite all that, he has still done a good job. I'm going to say great, good. Things have certainly gotten better since he's been elected to office, given what he's had to put up with from Congress. When I say Congress, I'm talking about Democrat and Republican, because there's that batch of Republicans that are never Trumpers. I'm not going to say I'm not a never Trumper. I do support the Commander-in-Chief. I'm not a big fan of the man personally, which I have stated on many occasions. But I think he's doing a good job for the United States. Saw a bad business deal with China. Said, nope, got to change. Saw a bad agreement with the North American Free Trade Agreement. Said, nope, got to fix this. Oh, Iran, that nuclear deal that my predecessor entered with you? Nope, we're pulling out of that, buddy. That was a bad decision. And I'd like to see him investigate that cash payment that got flown into Iran. That just, folks, that one right there does not pass the common sense or the sniff test. That needs to be investigated thoroughly. That's where the focus of the investigation ought to be. But I digress. But we need to start looking at, getting Congress back on focus, serving the American people, which they were elected to do so. And some of the things they need to start looking at doing is, one, put funding back into the trades programs across the United States. Encouraging communities and schools to reestablish shop and trade programs at the high school and in the middle school or junior high, whichever. I think junior highs completely fell out, but the middle school and high school level. Why did I say that? Did you know, and I looked this up, 53 out of every 100, I'll say it again, 53 out of every 100 maintenance technician positions in the United States remains vacant. Why? Because of lack of qualified or trained personnel to fill the positions. And as the older generation who holds the other remaining positions retire, there's not enough people coming in behind them to take up the position. How do I know this? Part of my job. I have to research that from time to time, especially when I'm talking to students about the importance of the trade programs. You can look up a lot of this stuff at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. There's a few other, I can't remember the web sites right now, but if you Google it, you'll get about 10 or 12, 10 or 12 hits minimum talking about the critical shortage in the trades across the nation. I mean, even Mike Rowe has said it on many of his TV and television shows and podcast stuff, talks about it. And the thing is, there's good money out there to be made in those programs, and you don't have to have a 4-year degree to get into those trades. Right now in this area, I know of about 4 or 5 electrical companies that are hurting to get to get helpers hired. And some of these companies will actually put their helpers into their apprentice program. and then they can work their way up from being a helper to eventually becoming a full-fledged electrician. Same thing with heating and AC. A lot of the heating AC companies are getting install work, but they don't have the personnel per se to go out and do all the service calls that need to be done. Your basic routine, replace a capacitor, recharge some Freon, just do a basic cleaning of a residential or commercial unit. That's where Congress needs to be focused at, to the one individual that criticized me last Tuesday. Yeah, I'm going to call it out. I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want nobody going to find it, because I went ahead and deleted him. I almost got myself caught in a childish argument match with the gentleman. But I don't know if he was jealous of my service to this country, or that he didn't agree with my views on politics. But he basically called me a crappy citizen. I won't use the word he used, but and then he had to emphasize everything by taking the Lord's name in vain, which that set me off right there. Seems to think that my belief that this whole impeachment thing was my belief that it's a witch hunt. He thought that I didn't learn anything in my time in service, because I swore to uphold and defend the Constitution, but in all my years of service, I never learned the value of that. Sounds like somebody that never served in the uniform and doesn't know the value of that service in defending the Constitution. But I defend his right to speak his piece. It's his First Amendment right, and I'll defend his right to speak how he will. But when I went back to what he said, it was a personal attack more than about what I was saying. So I just went ahead and removed the comment. I did report him to YouTube too for hate speech, because some of what he was saying was hateful. Now, whether YouTube will look into it or not, I don't know, because I think this individual leans opposite of where I do. I think he leans left of center, whereas I'm right of center. But again, though, I'll defend his right to say what he wants. But when it gets to the point that I feel that it infringes upon mine, I'm going to cut him off, or anybody else. I don't mind people disagreeing with my comments, but if you're going to do so, one, do not use profanity. All right? Do not use profanity. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. Now, you might disagree with what I believe in, and that's fine. The other thing, don't attack my service, especially if you yourself have never served, because you had no clue what I or my fellow veterans went through. That's all I ask. I kind of got that a little bit off my chest last night, but I need to finish getting it out of my system so we can move on the rest of our day, folks. But anyway, I hope everybody out there has a great and wonderful day. I'm going to give a special shout out to Rabbi Jesus. Brother, I hope you enjoyed that book. If you would like that book autographed, shoot me an email at ransofanOldSoldier@gmail.com. The email will be in the link description below, and I'll tell you where you can send it, and you can mail it to me, and I'll be glad to autograph it and send it right back to you. That's if you'd like to have that done. So hopefully you're watching, Rabbi, and got the message, and I'll tag you in this on the hashtags to make sure it pops up on your feed. But I'm glad you got the book and you've got through it, and I pray and hope that you really enjoyed it. And hopefully I get this third book done and out soon. Still gotta get some more material put together for that. But folks, I'm gonna get off here, get ready to pull in to go to work. Charities, I'd ask you to help out if you can. TunnelsToTowers.org, Valid for Veterans, Pin Up for Vets, and Folds of Honor. Vendors always ask you to support Money Quick Pawn on Rayford Road in Fayetteville. Robert's Custom Woodwork and Unsung Patriot on their Etsy sites. Go check them out. They got a lot of fabulous products. Go check them out. Order now so you get it in before Christmas. And likewise, if you like my books or like my poetry but hadn't got my books yet, go down to Amazon, my Amazon site, and order those today. That way you get them in time for Christmas stocking stuffers. And while you're there, go down to the Teespring site and get you a t-shirt and a hoodie. Get those in just in time for Christmas as well. I think my Teespring sent me a message yesterday, and I want to say it said use code HOLIDAY20 for a discount on the t-shirts and sweatshirts. I'm pretty sure it's applicable, but go check that out. But until tomorrow, God bless, take care. Remember our men and women, especially this time of year. As many right now stand between us and those that do us harm. Remember them and their families, especially the ones that won't be home for Thanksgiving or Christmas this year. So until tomorrow, God bless, take care. Old Soldier out.